Guys, in this next video, we're going to talk about a crisis taking place in America. A quiet crisis because a lot of people aren't talking about it. It's people reaching the age of 60 or above, the baby boomers, and you can't retire. And that's a very frightening thing. It's a big crisis happening right now. This next video, we're going to discuss it, and we're going to discuss options that you can move and you can still retire, still have your dignity. So I hope you enjoyed the video. You can still have your dignity and retire. Okay, check it out. Friends, welcome back to the channel. This one is a little bit disturbing, but hopefully it has a green light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully we can see some light. Because I'm going to touch on something that's happening to the great majority of baby boomers. And I'm not putting it down. It can happen to everyone. It can happen to me. It kind of did. So we're going to go over some things. You're getting ready to retire. All of a sudden, you've been paying your bills. You're falling into debt a little bit. You're buying cars, doing everything. The American dream, chasing it. And all of a sudden the kids move out, and then you wake up and you're 50, 55, 60 years old, and you look and you don't have retirement savings. It's scary. Believe me, I understand. We're going to go over some statistics so you can see it. Baby boomers, forgive me, I'm looking at my notes. Baby boomers, medium retirement savings. Okay, these are for people born up into the year 1964. I was born in 63. The average savings for baby boomers, $120,000 to $202,000. That's not going to cut it. That's not counting any debt you have. Okay, that's just counting retirement. 43% of boomers have nothing for retirement. And if you expand on it, even add in some Generation X, 55 to 64-year-olds have none. No savings for retirement. Okay, and that includes part of Generation X. Generation X was born 1965 to 1980. Okay, then you press on, you get a little older in life, now you're going to go to assisted living. So what's that like? Assisted living facilities monthly cost $4,500 a month. Okay, and like I said, I'm not putting things down. I get the fear in it. It is fearful. It is scary. And then you got the 4% rule, if you ever heard of that. In other words, you got to have enough savings to draw 4% a year, and that will give you 30 years worth of payments. Okay. And to do that, it used to be $1 million in savings. Now they're saying you should at least have $2 million in savings to last you 30 years using the 4% rule. Where I got fortunate enough with my wife, when I got out of the military, I was taught to look for jobs with a pension. And that ain't easy anymore, believe me. Because there was a time, the generation before us, where you just went to a company, darn near every company, I shouldn't say every company, darn near every company would have some sort of a pension. You worked 20 to 30 years, retirement, right off in the sunset. And then the generation before us, everyone keeps thinking it's baby boomers. No, it happened to the baby boomers. Then they own the company, then the baby boomers come in and work, and we just want to do the same thing. Let me work 20, 30 years and retire, and with a little bit of dignity. And every company just started taking away the pension, take away the pension, take away the pension. And then they try to say, okay, we're going to do the 401k. I've gone over this before, but if you're new to the channel, I got to touch on it again because it's important. Now, 401k. You get your tax advantages, plus we're going to match you dollar for dollar towards your retirement. Oh, great. So we'll start putting the 401ks, including myself. Okay. Well, besides our pension, I also had a 401k. But then all of a sudden they said, okay, we're going to match you up to 10%. Then they did that for a while. Okay, we're going to match you up to 6%. And after that, it's just you. Okay, we're going to do half of what you put in up to 6% and nothing. And they just kept whittling it down, whittling it down, whittling it down. What companies don't understand, they're trying to wake up to it now. They're going, why aren't the employees loyal to us? Well, you got to be loyal to your employees too. You get your employees to care about you, care about the company. Because if you got good medical benefits and a good retirement system, you want the company to be successful. But now, when the kids, I can't really blame them, but they're just hopping around job to job. Why am I going to stick around? What are they doing for me? So I get it. I'm just trying to explain that nothing could be more frightening. Like I'm about to turn 62, that if you had nothing to savings, but like I said, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to make some changes or at least have the options. I always talk about options, okay? Let's see. The year 2024, 5.5 million Americans now are expats living outside the country. And that's not going to change. Don't let people scare you. People will try to drag you back in so you can't escape. But that's about 100,000 increase from 2023, and I imagine that's going to keep going up. So what I'm offering you is options. Like I picked Albania, but Albania might not be good for you. I spoke to a gentleman who was living in Thailand, checked out Albania, didn't like it. He liked the dating scene and went back to Thailand. Cool. Albania isn't for everybody. What I am asking you to do is start studying the world. Because if you're in that position where you really don't have much or anything, or just Social Security, you're not going to make it in America just on Social Security. I have a niece right now, a young lady, beautiful lady. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to embarrass her. Her lease is up. She's renting in California. So the place she could afford, what do they call that? Where it's just a studio apartment. Forgive me for stumbling there. She's just renting a studio apartment, $2,800 a month, not furnished. Okay, her kitchen is the living room. And I'm not putting that down. Believe me, what I am crazy about it, $2,800. Okay, and that's not counting anything else, not counting insurance, not counting that. Her couch she has right now is too big for the place. But that's where things are going. So how do they save for retirement? How do they save to get your first house, the first time home buyer? So it's just terrible. So what I want you to do, an option, you don't have to move, okay? Please, don't misunderstand me, but you can study the planet, okay? Look at eastern parts of Europe. Even Spain has a lot of expats. Everyone was saying Portugal. The thing is, Portugal got overloaded. The system's backed up. But there's other places, Czechoslovakia, Slovakia, Panama, Mexico. Look at Bulgaria, man. The reason I picked Albania, there were many reasons, but besides cost of living, the location's perfect, so I could travel to Italy, Hungary, Poland, and it's very cheap. I'm in a great location where everything's an hour and a half to 2 hour plane ride away. So it worked out really good for us. They're very pro-American. I like their visa situation with Americans, but it might not be right for you. So I need you to study the planet, though. Nothing could be more frightening than you could be my age and not have anything for retirement. There are places that you can go and just make it on Social Security. And Mike can tell you, oh, you got to live like a king. I wouldn't do that. I think that's insulting. I wouldn't do that. But I had 1 month where April and I didn't travel at all. And what we spent that month was $700. Now, that's not counting my health insurance. I do have health insurance. A lot of expats don't because medical is so cheap in many other countries. But my medical insurance is $300 a month. So $700 plus $300 was $1,000 for 2 people. But that meant we weren't traveling, no taxis, no buses. 1 month we just chilled. And that was still, we had money to go out and eat a couple times, okay? So you can save money, but I don't want to come to you and say, oh, go to this part of the world and you're going to live like a king and travel. No, you're not. Okay, but you'll have your dignity. You'll be able to make it, and not sacrifice too much, But that was a month we didn't do for traveling. But April and I want to travel. We're blessed enough where we have 2 pensions. But even with that, I would have had to go back to work. And I was just a blue-collar guy working in a trucking company. And the problem is, a blue-collar man, I got to compete against younger guys, to get that job. And I talked about it before. I became institutionalized. What I mean by that, I ended up working for a trucking company for 32 years. This is after I got out of the Air Force. And all of a sudden they told us they were in trouble. And they wanted us to take pay cuts, and they did that before to us. We were like, look, no more. And then they just closed the doors. After 32 years of service, I got a text message thanking me for my 32 years of service. There was no gold watch, nothing. But fortunately, my pension was covered by the Teamsters, so they had it, so at least I didn't lose the pension. But it can happen. I had a very good friend, I'm not going to say his name. He wasn't old enough to retire yet, he was in his 50s. But we were talking, I could see some fear in his face. He goes, Pat, I haven't filled out a job application in 25 years. And I could see the fear in him, and I understand him. I'm not putting it down. But this is a situation that's happening to a lot of boomers. Okay? So April and I wanted to wait until we were 62. So we'd have 2 pensions and take 2 Social Securities, and we were going to move. And me personally, I just knew our retirement was going to be overseas. One of the things, I had 3 years of experience living overseas. When I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Germany, so I was able to see all of Western Germany, Western Europe. Not all of it, but a good majority of it, being over there for 3 years. Fell in love with traveling. Never thought I'd be able to do it again. And then we couldn't go to Eastern Europe for obvious reasons. The Soviets were there, Yugoslavia was there. It was just cut off from us. So now I'm in Eastern Europe. I think it's fantastic. I was able to travel to Poland. So April and I have no regrets. A lot of times I'll talk to people and they'll say, what about the family you left behind? I get it. Believe me, I get it. I talk about, when you say you have grandchildren, I get it. When my granddaughter was very young, she couldn't wait to come over. Bake cookies with April. We'd play superheroes. Me and her would fight. Then she became a teenager, and all of a sudden she's not coming over as much anymore. She's got her own life. It's a natural part of life. Our son moved to Nebraska. Our daughter's talking about Florida. We're going to be stuck in Texas. There go seeing the grandkids and the kids all the time. So I always say there comes a time where you got to put yourself first. Because what happens is, and it's a trap, people go, okay, I'm a little bit in debt, I don't have things, all right, next year. Okay, 2 years from now. Okay, 5 years from now. Or if you wait a couple of years, your Social Security benefit goes up. Yeah, but you're giving away your good years. But people go, but you're leaving money on the table. True, but you can't get those good years back. What I mean by good years, I can walk, explore. I'm not on a cane yet. I don't want to wait for retirement where I go straight to a home. Or for me, it would be embarrassing to knock on my children's door and go, take care of dad. I would be devastated. I'm not putting it down if something happened to one of y'all, but no, I'm not going to do that. So even with just Social Security, there are ways, there are places in this world for you to go. I didn't say live like a king, but you could live with dignity. Okay? So look at your options. I know what it's like. Okay, and plus you're gonna have family and friends try to drag you down. Oh, what about Uncle Phil? You gotta stay here for Uncle Phil. No, you don't. Uncle Phil's gotta take care of himself. Okay, are they gonna be there for you? Maybe. Or do you want them to wipe your butt? I don't. I don't know. I'm not gonna do that. Like I said, I'm not trying to put no one down. But I just want to go over. So the baby boomers now, they're hitting retirement age, or they already passed it, but they're scared. And I understand. I get it, because all of a sudden they taught you to be, the consumer. You're just going to consume, you're eating it up. You fall in debt. People fall in debt with credit card debt. And the credit card's what, 18%, 23%. The best thing I tell you is April and I started looking at retiring in 2019. So we didn't buy no more new cars, nothing. My last car was a 2016 Ford Focus. It was beat. I was going to drive it into the ground, baby. Because I knew retirement was coming up. So right now, I call us minimalist. You know what I mean? We got no car. I got a bicycle. Am I saying I'm never going to own a car again? Never say never. I'm not going to close that door. But I don't see it. I'll probably get an electric bicycle. Everything over here is extremely walkable. In most parts of America, you have to have a car. Not in most parts of Europe. Okay, I didn't say never, but we stay in walkable areas. So I wanted to touch base with you guys on. I know it's scary. Okay, I know it. Okay, but I wanted to make sure, please, even if you're not going to go, start looking at other videos. There's Cambodia, Vietnam. In Vietnam, John Rambo ain't jumping out of bushes or anything. It's a very nice place. Okay, whether it's Far East or Central or South America, look at Panama. Okay, look at Albania. Check out the Balkans. There's a lot out there that you are allowed to go. Yes, you are, and they're not going to stop you. You're going to have people try to scare you, because misery loves company. Got to drag you down. It's a lot easier to drag you down than you for lift yourself up. But don't listen to it. Okay, so I wanted to touch base with you on that. My new subscribers, thank you. My old subscribers, thank you. I appreciate it. Love you guys. But at least, please, study the planet. Even if you don't go, give yourself an option. Give yourself an out. It's more than one way out. Okay? Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.